What's up, guys, and welcome back to my Beverly Hills Cop film review series, where I'll be going over every single one of them. I've already reviewed the first one, which is in the link down below, so check that out when you can. We ain't got that far to go. The newest in the franchise, the fourth installment, will be on Netflix this week, and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. may not get done in time for that date, which I believe is July 3rd is when the new one will debut on Netflix. May not get done in time, but I'll try. But it'll be followed by a ranking video where I'll rank all four of them, so stay tuned for that as well. Released in 1987, Beverly Hills Cop II once again follows Detroit police officer Axel Foley as he travels back to Beverly Hills to reunite with detectives Billy Rosewood and John Taggart, who are forced to take down a criminal organization after their captain is shot and seriously wounded. As I mentioned before, not a huge fan of this franchise. I don't have that much nostalgia for it. I was introduced to it much later in life, much later after I was introduced to the Bad Boys and Rush Hour and Money Talks and all those other team-up films, which to me I think are a little better. But I can see why this franchise is likable. I can see why many others are fascinated with it. I can see why many others love it. I just never was really one of them. I like Eddie Murphy. I think he's a terrific comedian. I can see why this character in Axel became his breakout role. He's just, again, one of those actors that's been overshadowed to me. There's just nothing more I can say about that. So starting off with the positives, I do believe that they upped the buddy cop scenario significantly in this. This earned the right to be called a buddy cop action film. I think it plays out way better. You know, in the first one, he was mostly solo. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's character goes to Beverly Hills, and he just mostly works solo throughout the whole entire film. Yes, granted, it was the first film, and I get it, but it just felt like it was sprinkled in with the buddy cop team-up thing. I just never really considered that as a buddy cop team-up film. Here, it actually lives up to that name significantly. I just felt like it earned the right to be called a buddy cop film. With the three cops reuniting and Eddie Murphy as Axel, Judge Reinhold as Billy, and John Ashton as Taggart. Like in the first film, they were great. Because it showed more of their team-up in this and more of their chemistry, I think it really shined, very much outshined the first one in that sense. It shows more screen time of them working together, therefore it really showcased more of the comedic dynamic between the three that the first one showed off, but here it's a lot stronger because there's more screen time with their team up. And that was just something the first film was majorly missing. It was majorly disappointing because of that. Yes, it was still there. I still listed it as a positive in that review. But still, here it really shined even brighter in this film. Here, it was just better for it all the way. It was just something that I really wanted to see. I was really hoping for. It's been years since I've watched these. I can't remember a thing about these. So it was refreshing when I got to Beverly Hills Cop 2 that they really upped it in that area. Which made the comedy even stronger. Yes, even stronger than the first one. I thought it gave the others more to shine, Judge Reinhold and John Ashton. Not just Murphy. Of course, he's always funny. That's just a given. That's just inevitable. He was no different here. He still had those genius dialogue, one-liners, and the way he delivered everything. Just like in the first one, he was gold. But because the three of them had more screen time, I think that showcased their chemistry in a much better light. It really showcased how good these characters fed off of each other, and not just here and there. And I thought it was excellent. And I gotta talk about Billy Rosewood and Judge Reinhold's character. They did this thing to where they sort of turn him into like a kind of a Terminator / Rambo character. To where he's like fully weaponized with all these guns and knives. I described him in the first one as sort of the soft and sensible guy. And he's still that here. They just gave him a little extra here. A little bit of an extra edge. It's like they upgraded that character a little bit and you get to find out a little bit more of what he's been up to, like off screen, but you get to see a little bit more of it here. So much so that in some scenes, after he showcases all of his weaponry, some of the characters are like, Billy, we really need to talk. That got a few chuckles out of me out of the slew of comedy that this film brought out. It's just one of those that when you introduce a character in the first of a film's trilogy, And then you up it by kind of showcasing more of that character in the second one, and I think they did a really good job here. I just found that the most hilarious. Again, out of the slew of comedy that this film brought, I just thought that was the most hilarious. Now, moving on to my mixed, the story. I felt like it wasn't as strong as the first film. You have the Beverly Hills Captain, Ronny Cox, returning from that first film, who was fatally shot and hospitalized. And Axel came as soon as he heard the news. He comes to try to investigate and re-teams up with his friends because this captain and Axel has formed a relationship, a friendship between that first film and this. And this big criminal organization is involved. On the positive side, I thought it was a good way to introduce the film. I thought it was a good start point to introduce somebody that has been introduced, a character whose life is on the line. And it was a good way to bring the three characters in Axel, Billy, and John to the forefront. And I thought that was a perfect segue for the film. But the negative side, I didn't feel like it was strong compared to that first film, to where you have a best friend of the main character actually die right in front of him. Because of that, here, I just don't feel like that's as personal. Now, don't get me wrong. If anybody hurt any of my loved ones, if any of my loved ones was put in a hospital because of somebody, it's all like Donkey Kong, bitch. Still, compared to the original, Beverly Hills Cop 2 story just didn't really hit me the same way. It didn't really have that same effect. I still enjoyed it, but it just didn't really hit me to the level that first film's story did. It didn't really triumph. There was a little bit more action here. I said in the first film's review that when I see a movie labeled as an action-packed film, I want to be on the edge of my seat most of the time. Yes, the story comes first, and it has to be a good one. But in that first film, I felt like the action was lacking something fierce. Here, I felt like they came a little closer. Almost. On the one hand, I felt like it was a little bit of a step up from that first film. I did feel like they upped the stakes just a little. It just seemed like, compared to that first film, there was at least 2 or 3 more action scenes than there was in that first film. And it did get tense. I do remember feeling tense a little bit more than that other film. But on the other hand, I still felt that slowness. It still felt a little bit sluggish in some areas. Granted, it wasn't as forceful as it was in that first film, but I still felt it rearing its ugly head every now and then. The bottom line, as far as the action goes, I felt like they stepped up significantly. Not 100%, maybe 60-40, but I felt like it was a significant step up from that original film. Now, moving on to my negatives, the villains. I felt like there wasn't really that much there. There's nothing to really remember here. You have this tall woman who all she does is go into places, rob them, and shoot everything up. And that's about it. There's no real merit there. And then you get the main poncho, which you don't really get that much from. Just this smug, stoic attitude who gives orders and doesn't really do that much. He doesn't really feel like a real threat. Yes, he looks stoic and he looks serious and, I'm gonna kill you if you don't do what I say. But still, I never really felt that. I never really felt that for the head poncho of the villain of this film. He just gives a bunch of orders and that's about it.
You're not even scary. You're not even scary.
Not to mention the final scene, which kind of closed the casket on my opinion on this. But the final scene between him and Axel, he just gets shot in the face as he's rolling down towards Axel in the car, as he's running towards him, and that's it. There's no real merit there. You know, compared to the first film, there's just a cowardly runaway and a shot to the face, and that was it. There's no challenge. That's all I'm saying. Despite all that, I think Beverly Hills Cop 2 kind of triumphs over that original film. Maybe not by a huge margin, but close enough. It's more fun, it's more action-packed, and it actually earns the right to be called a buddy cop action film, and because of that, it was a happy accident. So Beverly Hills Cop 2, what was your thoughts on it? Were you somebody that liked this entry? Are you somebody that thought that this one exceeded that first film? More specifically, what was your take on the action of this film compared to that original one? Or are you somebody that just doesn't care? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much once again for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon. Set it to all so you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.